What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another video. So obviously I have started in on the body work for this car and I've made a bunch of progress. I did have to move it back into the garage here, and that was because it is about to be the storm of the century outside. You might be able to hear the wind. They're saying like 70-mile-an-hour winds, which doesn't surprise me. Reno is one of the windiest places I've ever lived in my entire life. Supposed to dump some snow. We're likely to get like anywhere from 6 to 12 inches on the valley floor. So yeah, I had to put this car back on the casters and quickly get it back in the garage first thing this morning. So it is back in here now, which I'm not mad about. It was really nice for a couple days there standing outside. So now the only thing that I really have left to do on this is I have scuffed the entire body with 220 and then went back over it with 320, and I'm going to kind of do some final just finish sanding with 400 grit, probably by hand or with just like a block. And then after I'm done with that, I will need to start working on this area back here. I got it mostly down to the metal, but it needs some refinement as far as like pushing the dent out goes. It's pretty good, but when you look at it like really close this way, you can see that it's pushed in still a little bit. And when I compare it to this side, you know, it's right back here on this on the other side, and this side, you can tell it almost like bulges out slightly, has like slight like domed shape to it. So we got some work to do there, but it's no big deal. Yeah, I actually picked up some filler here and some glazing putty. I've never tried anything from Evercoat, but it seems like it's probably a much higher quality than just the standard cheap-ass Bondo stuff. I've heard that that stuff doesn't really last and it really doesn't hold up that well, so I kind of wanted to stay away from it this time on this car. I do like painting, but I actually don't really like the prep work that goes into painting, and unfortunately, in order to get a really good paint job, you know, so much of it is the prep. So it's not my favorite thing, but I think it's good. I want to learn how to be better at this stuff and be able to do like a really good job. So yeah, I ain't mad about it, and I'm actually looking forward to it. So I'm working on this dent over here, and I don't really know what I'm doing, but I'm just trying stuff. So I think what I'm going to do now is just scuff everything up that needs it around here, and we'll mix up some filler and put our first round of filler on this thing. And then we can go to the other side of the car and I'll keep working on blocking it out with a 400 grit. Now, I need to address this little vent opening. Work on straightening it back out. This whole thing should be flat. Look at that, got that thing nice and flat right there. All right, so I've been working on this dent for quite a while, and this is where I'm at now. Actually has its like proper shape, which is good. Still, obviously the metal's pretty wrinkled up. I don't think I'm gonna be able to like really do much about that. But the important thing is that this thing fits, and it's you know, a tight fit, but it does still fit. And honestly, I'm pretty happy with it. Everything is kind of like flush behind it. And yeah, I think it'll work just fine. I'm just happy to be able to put a vent back in here. And obviously we already know that all of this part of the body is hidden when the bumper's on, and we know that the bumper fits well because you couldn't even tell that any of that damage was there when I got the car. So I think I'm gonna move on. I've probably already spent way too much time on this thing for what it is, but glad it's done. So yeah, just gotta clean this up, probably sand down a little bit more kind of in this area, and then we will mix up some filler and just start filling that quarter panel right there. All right, so this is all cured up now, so we can start knocking this down. All right, so this is what it is looking like after knocking that filler down and feathering it out. I can still feel a little bit of a dip right here slightly. And there's definitely some high spots in the back right here just from tapping it with the hammer, I think. But overall, it is looking a lot better. Definitely a lot straighter. I think we'll probably just need to do like a couple more rounds of this, and then it should be pretty good to just start using some like glazing putty just to refine it a little. And then I have a couple of other spots on the body. There's a spot in here that we'll get to once we unmask. I just had this masked off because I just didn't want to get a lot of the sanding dust all up inside of the interior. Definitely a ding on the passenger side over here. Right there, there's like a little divot, so we'll fill that up. Before I put more filler on that though, I just want to look through these boxes. So the cylinder heads from out front just arrived. FedEx just dropped them off, so I want to open these up real quick and just take a look. Now those look seriously new. Look at these things. Like, even look where the little half moons go. Check out how damn clean that is. Zero like 3-bond residue. Sometimes you get like this stuff back and they hot tank them, but there's like residue left over and you still have to scrape it off with a razor blade. Yeah, these things feel incredible, man. Holy crap. Wow. I'm definitely impressed with Outfront's quality of work, that's for sure. This is the first time I used them. He sealed up all of these little galley plugs too. I guess those are really important to remove when you're getting your heads clean. See if it had like an engine failure and there was likely like bearing material circulating through your engine, it can get trapped in these little galleys. And so yeah, a lot of machine shops that don't specialize in Subarus don't know to remove all of those. And there's several in here too, like one right there. Yeah, there's a bunch of them, so on both cylinder heads. Yeah, let me flip this thing over so you can see the other side as well. Yep, pretty much looking brand new. And we have upgraded valves in here. Damn, those look good. I gotta pull the other one out now and just inspect it real quick. And then we can just bag these back up for another day when we are ready to build the long block. All right guys, so I've gone ahead and put on another round of the filler there on the back quarter, and then also that little ding on the door, the rear door on the other side. And then now I need to hit this little spot here, and then this old filler right in here. I think we can work with that. All right guys, so it has been several days of working on this car, getting the body all prepped out. I actually have it all masked up now. I'm getting very close to being able to spray, as you can see. We just have a few more just things to get done before we're fully ready. But it's really clean in here. I got everything masked off underneath. Yeah, just cleaned the floor super well, cleaned the car really well, but we do need to go through it and do a final cleaning and then hit it with wax and grease remover, and then of course a tack rag before we spray. But yeah, I have everything all set up and ready for the most part. We got our chemistry right here, our guns all set up, and yeah, we just kind of have to get to work with the rest of the cleaner. So what I'm gonna be using first for the cleaning is this Sprayway glass cleaner and a microfiber. I actually got this tip from the guy from Paint Society. It's a YouTube channel, you should check it out if you haven't. That guy's awesome. He really does do a good job just kind of explaining how to get good paint results in your own home setup like this. So yeah, pretty cool. Yeah, we're gonna go through and do this on the whole car, and it won't leave anything behind that other cleaners could potentially do that would cause your paint to fisheye. So we'll hit it with that. Then we will go through with some wax and grease remover. This is what I'm using for the wax and grease remover. Anything really works, I think. So we'll be doing that. And then of course I have an auto tack rag. Apparently with the tack rags, you want to make sure to use an automotive tack rag, because I guess there are other types of tack rags that maybe like painters use for different applications, and they can leave like residues and stuff behind, so you don't want to use that kind. So yeah, let's get to work because this car's not going to paint itself. So I guess the best way to do this when you're wiping it down is to go in the same direction when you're wiping. I don't know why exactly, but that's what the pro recommends. So we're just gonna do it, not question. All right guys, next is the wax and grease remover. I just put it in a spray bottle so we can apply it. So I guess another tip is when you spray this on, you kind of want to pull it up
get it real wet and just let it sit there for a few seconds before you start wiping. Apparently it brings a lot of the like wax and other things to the surface, and that way if you wait a second it pulls it up to the surface and then you're able to just wipe it all off. So we'll just keep going with this stuff until we've gone through the whole car. I actually went through with the glass cleaner 2 full times on the whole car, and that way I am certain it's nice and clean. I honestly feel like, especially in a home garage like this, you probably can't get it too clean. All right guys, so finished wiping it all down with the wax and grease remover. Now I'm gonna open up this tack rag. I guess you shouldn't just apply these straight to the car, like right when you open it. And so I guess the proper way is to, yeah, so you wanna unfold it all like that. And then I'm just gonna kind of drape it over the box here. I guess you just kind of let it sit open to air for a bit, and after it's there for a few minutes, then you're ready to use it. All right, so it's a 2-to-1 on this one. Stir it up a little, and then we'll use a filter to pour it into our cups. Let's mask up. All right, fun part begins. I already tack ragged it. Gun's good. I still feel like I'm forgetting something, because I generally do. I'm gonna start back here on the parts that don't matter as much. So this is what the car is looking like. It looks pretty damn nice, to be honest, especially down this side. There's a few drip marks for sure, but overall, definitely really nice. Now, had some unfortunate events happen. So as you can see on this side, I have started sanding again. Unfortunately, I got this really nasty run all along the center of the body here, all the way through both doors and all the way through the back quarter panel here. So yeah, man, unfortunately, I'm gonna have to block this back out. So what I did was, this I kind of burned through a little too much. I was going with a little too aggressive of sandpaper. So I'm trying to avoid that now. It should be okay though. I am gonna put some base down over this again, but what my plan is to block all this out. I'm gonna have to do everything, the A-pillar, the quarter panel, both doors. But we're just gonna block it out with 400. I lightly scuffed this to test 400, so I'm gonna hit it with 400, kind of dull it out, then we'll go back through with 600 and get it all scuffed in 600, and then I'm gonna mask everything back from here over, so we won't need to do the roof again. The roof is fine, it looks really good, as you can see. And I wish I didn't have to redo like the A-pillar because it also looks good, but the problem is that the base will not adhere to the clear coat at this stage. The clear, if you don't scuff it up, there's kind of, from what I've read, there's like a 50-50 chance that your base will adhere. So I just don't want to risk that and have like paint peeling and stuff. So yeah, unfortunately, I'm just gonna block it back out, and then we'll get it cleaned up. And then I gotta reshoot some base, let it set in. I might do like, I don't know, probably like 2 coats. Maybe like 1 light coat, see how well we're covering this area where I sort of burned through. And then probably 1 more medium coat. Let it set up for about an hour, and then we should be able to reattempt our clear coat job. Here, that's probably the worst one I got on this side. There are a few others, but this, because it's in such a small area, I'm okay with waiting for the clear to totally cure, and then use the little razor blade technique to sort of shave that down, and then sand it out with some really fine grit sandpaper, and you know, just kind of step it up until it's nice and dulled out, but we don't burn through the clear coat, and then we can buff and polish. It's gonna need buffing and polishing anyway, so I'm not too concerned about it. You can see a little bit more of a run there, and a little drip mark there, and then on this door. And I know that might look like a lot, but that's really not that bad. I think there might be, oh yeah, there's a tiny bit in here, but it's like almost not even noticeable, to where like, I think even just sanding it with the fine grit sandpaper, that will just disappear, and then we'll buff and polish, and you won't even know that that was there. So this side, I think I'm gonna leave it. We're just gonna roll with it. We will do 1 more coat of clear though. This was only 1 like really light kind of dry coat. Yeah, and then 1 like more medium coat, or at least that's what I was trying to do. And I think where I got those runs, what ended up happening is I didn't turn the air pressure down on the gun enough from the base to the clear. And then I also, in those spots, for whatever reason, I just got careless or wasn't paying close enough attention, and I got too close to the surface. So yeah, it's super tricky to shoot clear, man. I feel like no matter what, I always make some sort of a mistake. You know, if it's not something you do every day, it's pretty challenging to just nail it every time, so. All right, guys, so I just finished scuffing up the whole car, actually. So I checked the data sheets for the clear coat, and
Unfortunately, I couldn't just put another coat over the top of the clear that I laid down yesterday, and I still wanted to get another coat on the whole car. And I stopped yesterday after I got that massive run on this side, and I'm kind of past the 24-hour window mark, and so I needed to scuff it back up with, what I did was 800 grit and then went to like a gray Scotch-Brite pad. And it was kind of more like polishing it, or it felt like I was polishing it more than actually like sanding it. So it's kind of a bummer. Definitely a lot more work than I was expecting to have to do. I am glad to have this all sanded out though now. I have masked the roof off, and yeah, we'll put a couple more coats down, make sure that we got good coverage right there. And then we'll let it like cure. It needs at least an hour before you can start with the clear. So, and then over here, once we're done with that, all I did over here, as well as the roof, is I hit it with, like I said, 800 grit, and then hit it with the gray Scotch-Brite pad. And it looks really good there, and it feels really freaking smooth. I guess one of the silver linings of this whole fiasco is that I was able to remove those drips from this side as well. So hopefully I will be able to correct my error in the way that I use the clear, and we won't get many drips this time. I'm trying to manage expectations though, because the clear is just so hard to shoot in my experience. I don't know if it's my gun. Maybe my gun is just like not quality enough, and so I'm making it way harder on myself. I just have a hard time believing that it's the tool and not the operator though in the situation, because of my lack of experience. So, but yeah, I think you know, what I can take away from this, yes, it's a lot more work. However, so far I've only spent one extra day, so not too bad. But just wanted to give you an update on where we're at and just share the techniques that I used at this stage. So in case any of you run into similar issues painting your own car, you might have some insight. All right guys, so I'm pretty much ready for round two. I have the panels all cleaned off, all ready to go. I remasked everything because the masking was filthy with like dust, and paint chips were like flaking off of the plastic and ending up in the air, and I would just find them randomly like sitting on a panel. So we do not want that getting in our paint. But it's really clean. The floor is nice and clean. I'm gonna spray it down with some water before we go to keep the dust down. And so basically we're gonna do 2 coats of base on this side. And then also on this driver's side panel, we have a little bit of base that we need to shoot right in here. So I have sanded this area down to like a 400 grit. And I'm gonna try to just kind of like sweep through here and kind of blend it in. Hopefully it works. I've never had to do this before, so I'm not really sure. But we need to get that covered because there was a really nasty drip here, and I did burn through trying to get that thing taken care of because it was so thick and nasty. It was just really hard to get it to smooth out. With the clear, I just need to be careful about getting too close with the gun and going too slow as I move across the panels. I did both of those things wrong last time, and that's why I got those nasty runs. For some reason, I slowed down on that pass, and I just got way too close. And you know, it's a little cold in here too. Not cold, but you know, it's about 65 degrees. It's a little warmer today than it has been, so I'm assuming it's gonna be a little bit easier. But yeah, it's a little bit colder. When it's colder, you're actually, it's as if like you're over reducing the paint. So clear is already really thin compared to like base and primer, which is why base and primer are so much easier to shoot because they're a little bit thicker, so they'll just kind of grab onto the panel as long as it was prepped correctly. Whereas the clear, if you go too heavy, it's so thin, it'll just start falling down the panel. So yeah, we're gonna try and knock this thing out and hopefully be done with this part of the paint job today. All right, guys, so it is the next morning, and my lovely wife, Erica, helped me unmask everything last night, and it looks absolutely insane. Before I show you guys the final results, I just want to preface it with a reminder that, you know, this is a garage paint job. There's no way it's going to be perfect. I don't even think that exists even in a real paint booth. You're always going to find some sort of flaw in the paint somewhere. So I just wanted to preface it with that because there is going to be dirt in this paint. A lot of that can be wet sanded out when we go to buff and polish this thing. But yeah, with that said, let me show you the results. So this is the driver's side. Look at that finish, guys. It's really hard to complain with this finish. Like, yes, you're gonna see like little dust specks that have fallen into the clear. But like I said, a lot of that will come out and you won't notice when we go to wet sand and then buff and polish. Really didn't get hardly any drips on this go. I mean, you can find some slight ones, like there's a tiny one in there. There's a really, really faint one right here. And a small one right there. And I think that is all the drips that we got. I kind of messed up right here when I was unmasking, but luckily the trim covers that. I may need to touch it up a little bit so that you can't see it, but yeah, I mean, overall looks really, really good. I mean, look at this reflection. You can see me in the damn thing. It's crazy. Yeah, this is where we had to lay down a little bit more base in the back and where we pushed out that dent. Looks really good. And here is the passenger side. Also looks insane. Look at that finish. Sheesh. And this is where we had to resand everything down all across here. And as you can see, we definitely fixed our mistake in a pretty damn good way. So that's pretty cool. Like I said, definitely not perfect. There's some imperfections here and there, but overall, man, oh, we do have a little drip right here. But yeah, none of those are really that big of a deal. I think this is going to look stellar when we denib everything and then wet sand and buff and polish. It's just going to look incredible. Really, really figured out how to use that clear better than I ever have before. Yeah, and all it was, man, was just like the proper gun settings and the proper technique when I sprayed it. Pretty dang cool, man, that you can get a paint job like this just out of your own garage if you take the steps to figure it out. Yeah, pretty freaking sweet, man. I just can't believe it. I just want to stand out here and stare at it all day. So cool. Super neat. And if you've made it this far in the video, I want to thank you for watching. I know this is probably a really long one at this point, but yeah, this stuff just is really time consuming. I did all of this work over about a 2-week period. It's just a lot of work to paint a car and do it in a way that's going to yield results that you'll be satisfied with. But yeah, it can be done. If I can do it, any of you can, I promise you. I didn't know anything before I started. I just jumped in and gave it a go. One thing that I suggest to people is find like crappy panels from like a junkyard. You can go buy a hood from like a junkyard or something, and you can just like buy enough paint to spray that out and just practice on stuff like that. I do think that that is super helpful when you're first trying to figure things out with paint and body work. But yeah, honestly, you're never going to like learn how to do it unless you just start using the materials and using the tools, because man, experience is by far the best teacher when it comes to most things, and especially something like this. So But yeah, if you guys have made it this far, I really appreciate you watching. Please hit that like button if you got something out of this, or if you just simply enjoyed the video. And please think about subscribing, because we have a lot more coming up. I think in the next video, we will start working on putting together that short block for this car. So I'm really stoked about that. And obviously we have a lot more body work to do, more panels to paint and such, which we will get to. But you know, I have a tiny shop that's only 10 feet wide. So I have to kind of do things in stages. And that is one of those things. So it's no big deal though. I'm kind of psyched to take a break from the painting and then come back to it with like a fresh mind. And I'm gonna jot a bunch of notes down as to my techniques and things that I learned from this time, so I can review them before going into those next parts, so that we can make sure we are getting a similar finish. Thanks again. I really appreciate the support from all you guys. And if you're new to the channel, welcome. It's currently Saturday and I'm wrapping this video up in the morning, so hopefully I'll be able to get it out today. And then hopefully next week, by midweek sometime, we will be building a short block, and I can get that video cranked out for you guys next week, and we can just continue pushing forward on this build. So that's all I got, guys. Until next time, peace everybody.